Hello everyone! We took a little break from posting because we were away from our orchid collection. But we had promised to make a Q&A video to celebrate reaching 1,000 subscribers, so I thought now would be a great time to answer your questions.
Since a lot of the questions don't really have a lot of video footage that we can show you that's associated with the subject, we thought we would take you along on a walk with us in my hometown in the Azores Islands. A lot of you wanted to know about where we live and how long we have been growing orchids. And that makes sense. In the beginning of the channel, we posted mostly footage of our orchids with no voiceover, so we never actually did an introduction of ourselves.
To answer this first question, we live in Portugal because we were both born here and we just sort of stayed. I'm just kidding. But actually we wouldn't be opposed to moving somewhere else. Isa was born in the Azores Islands and I was born in the mainland. Now we live near Lisbon, but travel to the Azores a lot, as you can see.
We have been growing orchids since 2015. I always loved them, or the little I knew about them. To me, orchids were just the big phalaenopsis you see everywhere, and I was fascinated with the big blooms on an elegant flower spike. I had talked for years about wanting one, and one day, actually almost 9 years ago to the day, I remember this because the 25th of April is a national holiday here. We were in the supermarket and they were having all this gardening stuff out for spring, and they had a tray of orchids for like €5, and Jay told me to pick one as a gift. It was mostly those pink and white usual hybrids you get at the supermarkets, but I took a fancy to a white one with smaller flowers but had really cute spots on the petals. We still have it to this day. And now that we know a little bit more about orchids, we know it's probably a Stuartiana hybrid. But at the time, I just liked that it was different from the others. So, to answer this question, no, we didn't grow orchids before we met. We started the hobby together.
I was always more of a cactus and succulents kind of guy, but as her collection grew, I took a shining to orchids as well.
I guess we can call where we live more of a city, and we are half an hour away from the capital, so it's pretty urban. I think if Jay could choose, we would live in the middle of the woods like this, and maybe at some point we will. Portugal is not a bad place in terms of orchid supplies. We have some garden centers that have a lot of orchid stuff, have easy access to a lot of specialty online stores.
We're not officially members of an orchid society, although there are 2 in our country, and we do attend a lot of their events, visit the orchid shows, etc. Since all of their events are open to the public, we never bothered to sign up. From what we can tell, in other countries, orchid groups have a much bigger socializing side to it. But around here I think they mostly have a couple of big shows a year.
In terms of what made us start making YouTube content, we really didn't mean to. It was the first year of the pandemic, and I cannot for the life of me remember who organized it, but someone started a virtual orchid show on YouTube. At the time, I followed a few orchid channels, and we were, like everyone else, at home, bored and stressed. Since Jay has some good photography equipment, when we saw the virtual orchid show, we decided to film our Finley hybrid, just to join in on the fun.
We had fun figuring out how to film it together, so we just kept filming some of our orchids here and there. Then the trend amongst orchid channels was to do a video counting how many orchids we have, So Isa got real brave and recorded our first video advice.
Hi everyone, this is a quick video I wanted to make after seeing it on Ninja Orchids channel.
And after that we were hooked.
We should actually redo that video. I think we have a lot more orchids now. How do we troubleshoot problems with our orchids? That is such an interesting question, but so hard to answer as well. Because my orchid journey has been, I bet, very similar to a lot of people. Where you get one, you research the basic care, you get hooked, then you get a couple more, you research some more, then you discover the whole universe of orchids beyond your supermarket phals, become fascinated, and then you start consuming content about orchids. And what happens when you read websites and books and watch videos is you start picking up some information. So now when leaves get wilty, you know it could be dehydrated from lack of moisture or from root loss. Then you see a video about pests and you learn to recognize them when they inevitably show up later. So most of the troubleshooting that we do is just going through mental information that we've picked up along the years. When something does happen that we have no clue about, it's been mostly about hitting Google and reading sources that we already know to be trustworthy. I have tried some orchid Facebook groups, but unfortunately, you mostly get 20 people screaming at you that you have a virus, even when you know you clearly don't.
This question is so hard. Favorite and least favorite. My favorite out of our collection is definitely our Neofinetia falcara. Not just the flowers, but I also love how the plant grows. And my least favorite, I would say the miltoniopsis. It's unruly on the shelves, and I remember not loving the smell.
Weird. I wouldn't even consider our miltoniopsis to be one of the most unruly of the big oncidiums, and I don't even remember her having a bad smell. I would say my least favorite would probably be one of those big phals we got in promotion years and years ago, and now don't particularly like their flowers that much. But that seems like a boring answer, so I'm going to be controversial yet brave and say the Bellina and the Violacea, actually. We got them after them being terribly hyped up online and being touted as amazingly beautiful and smelling amazing. And the reality is that our Bellina curls up the petals backwards, and the store actually sent us the wrong variety of Violacea. And I don't think neither of them smells that amazing. So even though they are not ugly flowers by any means, they were definitely the most disappointing purchases in our collection. When it comes to my favorite, I don't think I can possibly pick. I do have a huge soft spot for all bulbophyllums, but I feel like I'm still getting the hang of them. And I do find their growth pattern annoying, so I would have to pick a phalaenopsis. And out of all the ones we have, I think my favorite might be the Alfinia. The flowers are small, but I kind of like the cute look it gives them. And the shape is really unique because of the Finley parent. I love the little dots, and on top of that, it does smell really amazing. This next question is about Neofinetias, and we also had trouble blooming ours. For years, it was really healthy, but it would not flower. What ended up doing the trick for us was increasing the light levels. It now sits really close to our grow lights, who admittedly are not very strong. Another thing we learned about them is that as much as they are vandas and need some air around the roots, they also enjoy more moisture than most vandas. So we keep ours in pure sphagnum, just not packed very tightly. I really hope yours blooms soon.
About our growing medium. Like most people, we started with pine bark. And then when we started growing orchids that need more water than phalaenopsis, we started using sphagnum as well. We tried vermiculite recently for very specific orchids, and are planning to try leca with some of the cattleyas. But life has been kicking our butts lately, so we haven't gotten around to it. For now, we customize the medium to the orchid's moisture needs by playing with the size of the bark and by adding more or less sphagnum. That way we can water them all at once, even though they have different requirements. We also keep our orchids in decorative containers, and we used to soak them. But there was a lot of back and forth with buckets of water when it was time to drain them. So now, unless it's the peak of summer, we fill the bottom of the decorative container, leave the water there to soak up for a couple of hours, and then drain it.
Now, how do we battle pests? I do wish we could do the ladybug thing, but I don't think we have them for sale around here. I also find them really beautiful. Being in the European Union, we have strict regulations on pesticides, which I'm really thankful for, of course. But it does mean we don't have what other markets have that really takes care of pests easily. We have found a couple of EU-approved treatments that have worked for us when we got spider mites and thrips last year. For mealybugs, which is the other pest that we have had before, a soapy mix with alcohol and removing them manually seems to work better for us.
And that's it for today. Thank you everyone for all your questions and for congratulating us on reaching 1,000 subscribers. We hope you enjoyed the video. We really liked answering your questions and would love to do this again. You can ask us anything you want in the comments, and if we get enough questions, we'll do another one. And if you liked the video, give the video a like and considering subscribing to our channel if you haven't already. And we'll see you again next week.
Goodbye.